Only 4 years old when 9/11 occurred. I don't remember all of it, however I do remember that's the first and only time that my mom cried. It's also some of the most vivid memories I have of horror and destruction. What I do remember is I remember the planes running into the center, the World Trade Center. I remember seeing people jump out of the buildings. Most importantly, I remember seeing the towers fall. This was a devastating attack on American soil, caused us to go into war for over a decade. This could not happen again anywhere else. After the Paris attacks that happened in November of 2015, Europe now knows that even they aren't safe from Islamic extremism. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, also known as ISIS, took responsibility for the attacks, leaving many dead and many more in grief. I will answer the question: were the November 2015 Paris attacks a French version of our 9/11? Was it the definitive yes? By first looking at the mortality rate, by second seeing how it caused fear and strife across Europe, and how it's caused increased border security throughout Europe as well. So for my first point, as we look at the increased mortality rate. According to BBC News from November 27, 2015, approximately 130 people lost their lives due to the Paris attacks. This seems like a small number, considering nearly 3,000 were killed during 9/11. However, we shouldn't base this off of looking at death rates or how many people died, as this is just another statistic. We should look at the fear and strife and grief they caused to everyone else. Media outlets use these numbers to cause fear and to gain ratings. That's all they want. That's all they care about when it comes to showing a death number or death toll on their own stations, because they know that will gain them ratings and gain them more viewers. It isn't what we should look at, however, because this is playing right into the hands of jihadists and the ISIS and other terrorist groups, as it is causing fear in the nations. Which goes to my second point. Within the first 5 days after the Paris attacks, the French police had reported there were 115 reported attacks on Muslims, directly related to racism and being against them just because of their religion. We can see something of the same happening here in America, where we see someone wearing a burqa, or someone who may have a Quran, or maybe going to a mosque for Sunday prayer. We see them, for some reason, as being a terrorist. However, we can't upset the majority just because of a problem with the minority. This has led many people to see that even though many people call Americans racist and against people and hateful, this isn't just an American problem, there's a problem across Europe as they see something like this happen and they become afraid for their own lives. I mean, even at one time, a few years ago, France was trying to make a law keeping women from being allowed to wear burqas, even though that's something we see as being religious intolerance. So this isn't just an American problem, this is a French problem, which shows even more how these Paris attacks caused it to seem even more like a French version of 9/11. Especially when you look at how it caused an increase in border security. After the Paris attacks, France added another $1 billion to their border security budget. They did this because they want to keep their people safe. Something seen in America as well, where after the attacks we now have to take our shoes off. We have to go through full body scanners. We have to do everything we can to prove that we are who we say we are and won't do harm to someone on a train, on a plane, on a boat. People are in danger and they're in fear, which is why they're amping up border security so they don't necessarily have a problem to deal with. Though it seems more like they aren't necessarily keeping people out, but they're keeping people in. Keeping people from living normal lives. Which is exactly what ISIS did, and exactly what Al-Qaeda did when they attacked the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001. So, to answer the question, were the November 2015 Paris attacks the French version of the United States 9/11? I can definitively say yes, because of the lives lost. Cause many people that have grief and suffer, and people more focus on the deaths than than anything else that happened on that day. How it caused increased fear, and increased racism, and increased intolerance of people because of their religion. Something that we find here, like for Muslims, every day because of what happened on 9/11. And how France has now increased their border security in order to protect themselves, much like something the United States did after 9/11. Like now, how we aren't allowed to go to the top of the Statue of Liberty, well, we weren't for a long time, and we just started to a few years ago. Is why I can definitively say that yes, this was the French version of 9/11, and we need to prevent something like this from happening in the future. Thank you.